Good afternoon, everybody. This is Father Marcel Portelli with an update for all parishioners of Sacred Heart Parish, Gladwin, and also the Friends of the Parish. Just want to give you an update on the renovation progress. And currently, I'm in the north room of the Activity Center, and here you can see some of the items that are temporarily removed from the church in order for us to work on the renovation. And in front of me, of course, you can see the chandeliers. These have been removed for cleaning, and I think they're all working fairly well. I mentioned last time we're going to be replacing the lighting elements from the compact fluorescent with LEDs. And as you can see, they're all very, very dirty, and my guess is that these have not been down for cleaning for many years, even perhaps going all the way back to when they were installed in 1961. They all work just fine. It's just that they're all quite dirty, and I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to polish them up because we have found that the plating on the lamps, the plating on the chandeliers is very, very thin. So other than cleaning them up, we're not really going to be able to polish them really to any extent. But in any case, we're planning on reusing these chandeliers. Here you can see the speakers that have been removed from the ceiling, and these are going to be reused. They work just fine, and they're actually I can tell just by their appearance, they're not terribly old, probably dating back to the 80s, I'm guessing. But yeah, so we'll be reusing them. And over here here are some of the pews. These are the old pews that were up in the choir loft, and of course, we're having some of these refinished as well. So they're actually quite nice looking, even here in their original condition with the ornate end pieces. But yeah, so these clips that you see here, they're quite quaint. They go back to the days when gentlemen wore hats, but of course, that's no longer the case. The main pews in the body of the church, they are out for renovation, as you know, and they're not going to be having those hat clips installed. We can go over here and just give you a close-up on one of the chandeliers. So you probably looked at these from below for years and decades, but if you've ever been curious as to what they look like up close, here you go. Yeah. And over here are the ductwork, not the ductwork, but the vents from the ceiling, all been removed and cleaned and be reinstalled as part of the renovation process. So let's go over now to the church, and I'll show you what's been going on over there. Quite a bit since last video. Okay, so just walking over to the church now, one of the things our observant visitors will recognize is the fact that we have another dumpster. And this is our second dumpster, and the first one was hauled away because it was filled with a lot of, the carpeting, of course, took a lot of space, but also something that took a lot of space was the ceiling. The ceiling has been torn down, not the roof, obviously, but the inner ceiling has been removed, and that's part of the renovation is going to be replaced. And of course, much of that material filled the first dumpster. So let's go into the church now. All right, here we are in the church, and as you can see, all the tile has been removed from the floor of the vestibule and both restrooms, of course. Here's the ramp. Probably some of our older parishioners will recognize this ramp has been covered over by a wooden platform for many, many years. And I imagine this space here will probably still, we're probably going to keep the ramp that you see here. The space on the other side, I'll talk about that later on, but that'll be used where the choir was. That's going to be used for seasonal displays, for things such as nativity crushes or Easter displays and that kind of thing. So let's look here in the sanctuary, and obviously the big things are the altar and the half wall have been removed. So it's looking very, very barren, as you can see. And you can see here on the floor the outline of the wooden platform upon which the altar was mounted. And you can see how much space back here is now accessible to us. These windows, I'll talk a little bit about the windows as we go along. None of the windows in the church are going to be replaced. We would love to replace the windows with some high quality stained glass windows with some beautiful artwork and designs, but even to get a set of used stained glass windows from a closed church, let's say, would be incredibly expensive. Back when this project began, I think about 6 years ago, I got some pricing on some used stained glass windows that would about fit our church, and the price was like around $80,000. And that didn't even include installation. So I'm sure we could have found a better price if I shopped around some more. But at that point, it was not in the cards. But one thing we are going to be changing about these two windows is the frame. And so you can see right now they're framed with a very attractive but very simple rectangular frame. And that's going to be replaced with an arched frame, which is something that's going to be done to all of the windows. All the windows are going to have this matching beautiful arch frame, because an arch frame really does look churchy. Churchy is a really good adjective that I like to use. And I'll show you what I mean about the arched frames in just a second with the other windows. And look at that. What do you think about that? Look at that ceiling. That's what I mentioned earlier about the ceiling. All those panels, those white panels, had been removed, and that's what largely filled the dumpster. And all the lights, of course, have been removed. The vents from the HVAC system, the speakers, all been taken down. And all that's going to be replaced, of course. The woodwork and the trim work is going to be replaced. What I can show you here before we leave too much further along is an early sign of our construction. So much of what we've done so far has been destruction or removal, but something that has started in terms of the construction is, if you look up there's a big hole, a long hole cut in the ceiling with a long beam across it, and that is the genesis of what is going to be an arch. So we are going to be building an arch and you're looking right now at the apex, that square there, right there, approximately, is going to be the apex point of the arch. And the arch will come down and along each one of these two side walls, here and over here. And even though the sanctuary area is kind of a box in overall general shape, the fact that we're going to have an arch there is really going to transform it and will do a lot to lend to the appearance of a more classical, churchy, I'll use that word again, churchy looking a sanctuary area traditionally it's called an apse. We're not really going to have a true apse, but that's the idea we're trying to convey. So right there is one of the first actual constructions that have been done so far on the project. Everything else has been pretty much demolition. And here you can see the tile work that we showed you last time has been removed. All those old, worn, broken, chipped tiles, all gone, of course. Here you've got the original terrazzo. The terrazzo looks very brown. That's because all those swirl marks, that's from the glue, the carpet glue that had covered the terrazzo. Of course, that'll all be polished away. Another thing I can show you regarding actual construction is this right here. I mentioned earlier that the windows are going to be framed with an arch, and nothing says churchy more than arched windows, conveying this old Gothic type appearance. So we're not going to be replacing the windows, as I mentioned. We can't afford to do that. And we're not going to be changing any of the brickwork, the cinder blocks. It's just going to be woodwork and some very, very nice painting. And of course, between the windows are going to be a beautiful set of Stations of the Cross. They're new to us, but it's actually an antique set. I don't know how old the set is, but it's quite old. It's from another church in the diocese that closed some time ago. No, I take that back. This set of Stations of the Cross are from a church that was torn down and replaced with a newer church, but they never used the Stations of the Cross in the newer church. And thankfully, many years later, we were able to get that Stations of the Cross set. And so what you're looking at right now, this blank wall, is going to be having 2 of those stations. Okay, so let's get a view from this vantage point. Quite remarkable how different it looks. And let's go upstairs into the choir loft and get a good vantage point from there. You can see here the old carpeting has been removed from the steps, which is probably a good thing. And that carpeting was quite wrinkled, and there were even some tears in parts of it. So up here, we're going to have additional seating. We're going to have both pews, plus also flexible chairs that we can arrange if we need to. We're also going to have the organ sitting here approximately in the middle of the loft, and the choir will be up here. Hopefully we will be able to rebuild the choir from the COVID days when we couldn't have a choir. And we're going to have everything that the choir needs up here. We're going to have obviously all the electronics and bookshelves for the hymnals and so forth and so on. And it'll be quite nice to have the choir up here. If you can see as well, we're also replacing the guard railing. And so what was here before was some paneling, and on top of that, I think was added maybe afterwards, a galvanized pipe that ran across the length of the edge. And we of course, as you can see, removed all that, and this can be replaced with a very nice new wall, including a glass wall that people, including the young ones, can see through, but obviously meeting all of our safety requirements and codes. Now let's take a walk downstairs and see what else I can show you. Something that many people may not know, or they may have forgotten, was back in February, we installed a new set of windows on the outside. So we have these stained glass windows here. I think we all know that, of course, but what you may not have known was that we did install a new set of glass outside, and we also installed something that we did not have before, which was an insect screen. Okay, something as seemingly insignificant but important as an insect screen we did not have before. So let me show you the new windows now. Let's take a quick walk outside. Oh, before I go outside, I'm going to show you one more thing. If you look at the ceiling here, in that corner, the corner where the ceiling meets the 2 walls, right in that corner where the inner layer of the ceiling has been removed, was this panel. And I don't know if you can see it too well there. I'll move to the light here. This in that corner panel was some handwritten information, and it seems to be almost like a little time capsule It's dated December 10th of 1961. And of course, this building was built in 61. And I'm not sure if whoever wrote this information were some of the builders, the workmen, or perhaps somebody else that belonged to the parish at the time. But it says there, if you can read it, I can barely read it myself, but it seems to say 12/10/61, something a doctor, or maybe de bono. And then below that it says, maybe it says Father A. de Bono. I don't know any Father de Bonos. And then below that it says, nailed by Ray Augustine. Nailed by Ray Augustine. And below that it says, looks like Gary Boutal. Not sure about that. So maybe if anybody can read this, if anybody knows what this says, or if you recognize these names, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Maybe you can put it in the comments section below. I'll get some close-ups here. All right. Okay, so let's go outside now. I can show you those windows. So here are the windows that I mentioned earlier that were installed back in February. You may recall February was a particularly cold month, but we took advantage of the schedule to install these windows with new frames. These are all new frames. Add a lot to the insulation of the church. And of course, as I mentioned, we also added these insect guards that we did not have before. So it's always good to have that whenever we don't need to use the AC. Open up the windows, okay? So that's all for now, and I will give you an update the next time something significant changes, and hopefully we'll... I guess I should mention too that everything is on track. We had a meeting this morning with the general contractor. Everything is moving along according to schedule, and so far so good. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your prayers and for your capital campaign pledges and other gifts. Your prayers and your financial gifts are really what making this wonderful renovation a reality. God bless, and talk to you next time. Bye.